Are you tired? Are you a man in his 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s who is really questioning life? Maybe a little, dull in the sense of interests. You're not really sure, kind of doing the grind. It just something doesn't feel right. Maybe you got foggy thinking, maybe a little anxious. Struggling with boundaries a little bit. You're not sure whether you're doing your stuff for yourself or for other people, maybe a spouse, family. Well, if this is you and you're ready to learn about your own self, and you've heard this term, buzzword, that it may be authentic self, and you're ready to know about your own self and maybe live your life differently than you've lived in the past, this video is for you. Stay tuned and we'll have a special document for you to help you navigate this process. So today's video, we are going to use Don Miguel's The Four Agreements in referencing and understanding that if you're living your life and you're just feeling like it's a drag, you're tired, you're foggy, you're not sure your purpose or why you're doing things in life, it's the same thing over and over again, and you're not even sure if you like what you're doing. Well, today's discussion is for you. So The Four Agreements is an amazing book that starts off giving us a framework of how to be able to really be introspective and understand ourselves and understand our lives. Our current lives are a representation of the choices and decisions that we have made over time. We create our own experience. We create our own lives. Now, that's heavily influenced, as he talks about in here, in relation to our domestication. So when we grew up, especially as ages 0 to 8, scientifically speaking, we're shown that that's kind of where we absorb, right? Little kids just absorb. And then they hit a certain point around the age of 7, 8 or whatever, where you can kind of see that a switch flips and their brain changes, and they operate off of a different system at that point in time. So we call that first initial phase domestication, right? Kind of like how you domesticate an animal, a wild animal. I kind of like to think of it like the little kid inside of you is like a wild stallion, right? You love those wild stallions. They invigorate you just to watch them. It's so amazing. They have so much spirit, so much excitement, so much flair. And what happens is we get domesticated, and that flame, that exciting part of us oftentimes gets squashed for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's because of certain set of life circumstances that, your family of origin isn't able to provide you with the space that you needed in order to develop your own sense of self. Maybe you had some sort of trauma. Maybe there's a variety of different things that happen. Maybe you're in the good girl, good boy sort of situation where you had to be a certain way for your church group or for your family of origin. Now, all of these things tend to be done for a good reason, which is going to be able to provide you with the ability to navigate life. And so, generally speaking, parents, caregivers provide these tools for you as a way to help you navigate life. But oftentimes what happens is we domesticate and provide too many controls. That's not my favorite way of putting that, but domesticate the flair out of us so that we can act responsibly. We use shame to really help us understand where the edges of going outside of the community is. And it's important to understand that he talks about that in the Four Agreements, where our first domestication process taught us how to live a certain way, and there's nothing right or wrong about that. That is just the cards you were dealt. So kind of as you go through this process, the Four Agreements are: be impeccable with your word, Don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And so as you start to increase your awareness and recognize whether or not you live in the life you want to live, being impeccable with your word requires you to then have a level of self-honesty and actually have a dialogue with yourself. Understand that, where your triggers are and why you're taking things personally. Recognize that we don't want to make assumptions of other people as well as yourself, and then working towards doing your best. That's a really important piece to work with in relation to our standard Western modern society, because what happens is we have this purpose-driven society where you have to be productive, and many people even take that to the level of I have to be perfectly productive. And so oftentimes it leads to a life of emptiness and seclusion and foggy thinking and low energy and feeling depressed and anxious and really having a hard time. And so it's important to be able to then have tools to be able to start working with this idea, to be able to start changing your life. So again, if that's something you're interested in, it's time to pick this book up immediately. The Four Agreements. It's only 100 pages long, or pick it up on Audible. My favorite is actually to purchase it on my Kindle so I can copy the texts that I highlight and then get the Audible with it and actually listen to and then highlight as I go along. There's so many wonderful and important pieces in here to understand where that domestication process happens, to be able to learn how to increase our awareness in this process of learning to determine whether or not you want to keep living the same life that you always did live. And then to be able to be provided with the tools to start working through this process of domestication and find yourself so that you can really know if what you're doing is what you really want to keep doing. It's amazing as you find parts of yourself how exciting life is, how it changes your perspective. It makes you get to the point where you're excited to get up in the morning. And as you find yourself, it also helps you determine where it's important for you to kind of cut ties and have different boundaries and adjust the boundaries that you have with those people, institutions, ideas, thought processes that were given from outside of you. Let go of some of those old agreements and reestablish new agreements that are healthier for both people. As Brene Brown quotes Prentice Hemphill, boundaries are the space at which I can love you and me simultaneously. And being able to adjust that requires that self-honesty, that integrity in your word, and to be kind to yourself and kind of work through that process. Now, for those of you who have stayed around, I'm going to give you that bonus item, which is going to be our change cycle document. And you can go and click on the button below and enter your information, and you'll be able to have this sent to your email if that's not set up just yet. There will be an email down there. You can email our office and we can send you an email and give you this change cycle document. And in this change cycle document, it walks you through the different stages of if there are certain parts of your life that you don't like. Then, as you decide that you want to change, what happens? How we tend to move back into our old cycle and just forget about change because it's too uncomfortable. And how to start developing the skills to be able to have that self-honesty that allows you to change when you don't have the pain anymore. I see that so often in my own clinical practice, that as we get a person better and all their symptoms go away, which is usually a pretty fast process, that they don't have the driver anymore to really change the circumstances that got them where they are. And so then I see them again in 6 months because they got better and then they stopped doing what they were doing and then they started doing what they used to do again and then they start getting symptoms again, and it's just a vicious cycle. So from that context, what I have decided to do is, for those of you who are interested, who are ready for this transformation process, who are ready to implement and learn the skills from Don Miguel Ruiz, what I'm doing is I'm actually putting together a 6-month transformation program for men that will allow you to start similar to a process of, if you want to build a house, if you've ever been through that process or been through a remodeling process where you have an end product that you can see in your mind where you want to be, recognizing that there's a lot of steps that you have to go through and things don't always look exactly like you thought they were going to when you started or keep to budget, But that's kind of what the transformation process looks like. It requires a fair amount of work and effort. But if you're in that stage of life where I'm speaking to you, you know who I'm talking about, you're ready for this change, well, we're here for you. So go ahead and click on the link below, get our information. We have a discovery process for those of you who contact us through the link below, and we can discuss whether or not this is a good supportive solution for you. If you're looking for some additional help and you don't want to just do this alone, we also have groups that you can be part of for those other people who are looking for community that are also in this frame of mind where they're ready for this change and transformation. If you're ready for that support as well as a one-on-one support with myself, again, click on the link below. We're here for you. Again, anybody who wants this document, you click on the link below, send us your information, and we will go ahead and share this document with you. It's transformational. The homework's on the second page and the third page. If you're ready, let's do this thing. And I know it'll change your life as it's changed mine, and I'm here. We're ready to help you out with this process. I hope your day finds you well, and this is motivating. And we'll talk to you soon. This is Dr. Fisher signing out.